Hello and welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Marin and here you will find a little beauty, a little books, and a little teaching content. So if that sounds like something you might enjoy, I would love for you to subscribe and stick around and join me in my little corner of YouTube. Today's video is going to be my November TBR, but as you can see from the lack of the wheel behind me, we're going to be doing this a little bit different this month. So let's go ahead and get into it. So before I go ahead and get into the books that I'm planning on reading in the month of November, I want to go ahead and do a quick recap for October. Now in October, I did play 2 games because I did do my Wheel of TBR where I spun the wheel 5 times to get specific titles because I wanted spooky themed books. And then I also participated in Becca's Spookoplathon, so I had prompts for her game board as well. So what I'm going to do is just kind of roll on through all of them. There is some crossover with titles. So let's go ahead and chat about my Wheel of TBR first. So the first book that came up on my October Wheel of TBR was The Clue in the Crumbling Wall by Carolyn Keene. This is the 22nd book in her Nancy Drew series, and I did read this one. Next up was The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. This is a series, or a collection rather, of short stories set in her Grishaverse universe, and I was reading this because this is my buzzword pick. I have not finished this. I have only read the first story, but it is currently Saturday, October 28th, so I have a few days left to get it done. I am planning on having it finished by the end of the month, so we're going to go ahead and check it off as well. Then I landed on Malice House by Megan Shepherd, which I did read. The fourth spin gave me The Family Game by Catherine Steadman. I listened to this on audio and did finish it. And the last spin landed on The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I am currently listening to this on audio. I am right here. I'm at like 56%, so this will be done by the end of the month as well. Now let's talk about Becca's Spookoplathon, because for that one I did roll 2 doubles, so I wound up with 7 prompts. Again, some of these are going to sound familiar because I purposely crossed over the titles. But the first spin landed on Community Shelf. For that I chose a horror book and I picked Malice House for Megan Shepherd, which again I've already read. The next spot was Feed Scroll, and for that one I chose Wonderland by Jennifer Hillier, which I did listen to on audio and did complete. Then I landed on Mary Shelley, which was to pick a sci-fi. For that I chose Aurora's End by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which I did read. The next spot was Crows and Ravens, which was to pick a book with either birds on the title or on the cover or in the title. For that, I chose Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark, and I did read this one. Huge accomplishment. This one is 1,006 pages, so yay. The next spot I landed on was Jigsaw, which was to pick a book that had some sort of game involved in it, and for that, I chose The Family Game by Catherine Steadman, which again, I did read. The next spot I landed on was Most Recent Purchase. For that, I chose The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa M. Matlin. I have not read this one yet. It is my goal to finish this by the end of the month, so we'll see how I do. If I do not finish it, it will roll over into November. And the last spot that I landed on was one of the train station spots, which are inspired by Taylor Swift. So it was the They're Burning the Witches Even If You Aren't One space. And for that, I chose The Glacier by Kim Liggett. I have not read this one either. This will hopefully also get done by the end of the month. If it doesn't, it will also roll over. So we'll cross our fingers that I can go ahead and knock these 2 out before the end of the month, because you're going to see I have enough books already on my November TBR, and I really don't need to be adding any more to it. Okay, so now that those are all out of the way and I've done all the recapping, now we're going to dive into my books for my November TBR. Now last year, Cassidy had hosted a readathon called Knock It Out November, where you were supposed to attempt to finish up your bookish/reading goals before the end of the year. I was really hoping she would host it again this year, but it doesn't look like she's going to. So I'm going to do my own version of Knock It Out November and tackle books that are on my TBR that I wanted to read by the end of 2023. These include books off my 23 and 2023 list, books off of my 10 series to finish in 2023 list, the Literally Dead book club pick for November, my buzzword pick for November, plus some rollovers from previous TBRs earlier in the year that I haven't gotten to yet. So we've got a pretty hefty list here. I am not going to go into synopses for any of these. I will mention the books down below. Feel free to check out more information if you would like. I'm just gonna roll on through this list because there's 13 of them. So let's go ahead. So the first one was on my January TBR. I never read it. It was Tiny Pretty Things by Danielle Clayton and Sona Chiropatra. And it's like a ballet book. This was supposed to be read in January. I didn't read it. So I need to go ahead and read it in November. We'll cross our fingers that I like it. It doesn't have a great rating. I know there's a TV show based on it. If I enjoy it decently well, I may check out the show. We'll play all that by ear. The next book on the list was from my July TBR, and that was A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. Each month I'm trying to read a book of the month book. This was supposed to be the book of the month book for July, and I didn't read it. So this is on my list for November. I know this is the start of a series. I believe it's a fantasy book, something about Scotland or something like that. I don't really want to read too much into it. We'll see what I think about it. I know Rebecca Ross has written some other books that people have really liked. This is the only one I own by her. So I'll see how much I like this one if I want to continue the series and possibly check out more from her. The next book is the November pick for the Literally Dead book club, which is a book club hosted by Kayla over at Books and Lala, and that is Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. I have read one other book by her. I read it earlier this year. I read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. I gave it 4 stars. I'm currently listening to The Last Housewife. I'm liking that one decently well. I find it pretty engaging and intriguing, so we'll see how the final rating shakes out there, but I have not gotten a 5-star from her as of yet. So we'll see if either The Last Housewife or Midnight is the Darkest Hour can do it for me. I know a lot of people love her writing, so we'll see. But that is also on my list because I need to read it because a goal was to read each of the Literally Dead book club picks this year. The fourth book on my TBR for November is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is another book off of my 23 and 2023 list, but it is also my buzzword pick for November. And I feel like the buzzword is good. Don't quote me on that. If it's not, I'll put it on the screen, but I'm almost positive that it's to have a book with good in the title, so this is the one I chose. Now the problem here is that I've heard that it's a full cast audio, so I really want to listen to it, but there is an incredible amount of holds for this book at my library right now, so I am not sure if I'm actually going to be able to get to it in November. If I don't, I will roll it over into December, but I'm going to cross my fingers that people get through the book in a timely fashion and I can actually get to it faster than they are anticipating. So cross your fingers for me, y'all, because I do really want to read this one. Obviously, it's on some lists to be read, but I've also just heard really good things about it. So hopefully it will get to me before the end of the month. If not, hopefully it will get to me in December. Now we are getting into some books that I am going to be reading as part of the Final Book Support Group Readathon. Now, Steph is hosting this the first weekend of November. She's doing an extended weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I am not planning on reading all of these books in those 4 days. That would be absolutely insane, completely unattainable for me personally. I am working. There's no way that I can just sit and read all of these books in those 4 days, but I am planning on continuing them into the month, maybe doing a month-long kind of readathon thing, even though it's only really 4 days officially. So we'll play all that by ear. I will be vlogging it, but here are the series books that I need to get to because they are on my 10 series to finish in 2023. So the first one we have is Hereafter by Kate Bryan. This is the second book in her Shadowlands trilogy. I read Shadowlands a couple months ago, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the series. Shadowlands was actually a reread. I read it for the first time when it first came out, I believe in 2012, and I never completed the series. So we're following a girl who is being stalked by a serial killer, and she and her family are relocated through the witness protection program, and some weird paranormal type things start happening to them when they're on this island. So it's a thriller, but it is also paranormal. I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the series is going to play out, and this will be book 2. Then I have the final book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before series by Jenny Han, which is Always and Forever Laura Jean. I did not love P.S. I Still Love You. it actually angered me quite a bit. So we'll see how the third one goes. I'm really hoping we're not going to have a love triangle because I'm over that. We had one in the first and second book and it was really stupid, for lack of a better word. So let's hope the third book is better. I do want to watch the TV show, but I need to get through the books first. So the third book is actually the one I'm going to start with for the final book support group readathon, and we'll see what else I get to after that. The next book is United We Spy by Allie Carter. This is the 6th and final book in her Gallagher Girls series. These are very, very quick reads, so I know I can get through it really fast on audio. I'm looking forward to seeing how the series is going to end. I know there's a few novellas and stuff that she's written since that. I do plan on reading those, but I'm not counting them towards like completion of the series. So once I finish the 6th book, this series will be done, in my opinion. The next book on the list is the 3rd book in the Daughters of Athena Club series by Theodora Goss, which is the sinister mystery of the mesmerizing girl. I read European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman a couple of months ago, I believe in September. Enjoyed it okay. It was overly long and not as tightly plotted as the first book was. So I'm hoping the 3rd book gets back on track in terms of pacing and length and things like that. I know it is significantly shorter than the 2nd book, so we'll cross our fingers, but I am looking forward to finishing this series off. If you're not familiar, it follows daughters of monstrous men, things like the Island of Dr. Moreau, Rappaccini's daughter, Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, etc. So I have a good time with the characters, really enjoy them. Looking forward to seeing how the series ends. The next book on my TBR is the 2nd book in the Shades of Magic series by V.E. Schwab, which is A Gathering of Shadows. I read the first book several months ago. That was a reread, but I've never read the rest of the series. So I've got the 2nd book here. I also own the 3rd book. I need to read the 2nd book this month and the 3rd book in December to cross the series off. So this one is the one I'm going to tackle next. This one's kind of chunky. I do have the audiobook as well, so I may swap between them. I haven't quite decided, but I am looking forward to seeing how this series continues. I did really enjoy the first book, so this will be on the agenda for November. Then to break it up a bit, I have a middle grade series slash early YA series, which is Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. This is the 2nd book, The Hammer of Thor. I read The Sword of Summer back in 2021, I think. It was on my 21 books in 2021, 22 books. I can't remember which year it was in. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before. I enjoyed it. I have a good time with Rick Riordan's writing. So I'm looking forward to reading this one, continuing the series. This is another one where I need to read this one in November and the 3rd book in December. So gotta tackle this one, but it is middle grade. I feel like I should get through it pretty quickly, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the series continues. And the last series book on this list is the 23rd Nancy Drew book, which is The Mystery of the Toling Bell by Carolyn Keene. I have a goal to read 1 Nancy Drew book per year, so I'm on pace. Need to read 23 in November and 24 in December, and I can check that goal off. So I don't really know what this one's about. Something about a mysterious sound, I think. I don't know. Nancy always gets up to a good time. She's always over the top, a bit Mary Sue-ish. I don't even know if I should say a bit. She's very Mary Sue-ish, but I still have a good time with the books. Looking forward to seeing what her next adventure is. Then, because I do try to read a book of the month book each month, the book of the month book for November is going to be Hester. This is by Lori Lico Albanese, and this is basically a Scarlet Letter retelling, but not exactly. It's about this woman who actually meets Nathaniel Hawthorne and becomes like the impetus for his book, The Scarlet Letter, I think. I don't know. Haven't read the synopsis all the way through, but this was a book of the month book that I got last year. I believe I picked it up in October of last year. Haven't read it yet, so this is the one that I'm wanting to read in November because I feel like it's got some nice fall vibes. The cover kind of tells me that it's kind of fall vibes. The whole idea of the Scarlet Letter gives me like fall/winter vibes. So this is the one we're going with. I hope I really enjoy it. We will cross our fingers and see. And then the last book on this list is The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton. This is a book from my 23 and 2023 list. I'm trying to read 2 books per month, so that will leave me only 1 book left to read in December, and I can actually do some seasonal reading, which I have not really been able to do at all this year. So The Forgotten Garden is long. It's a long book. Basically, it says, The Forgotten Garden is a 2008 novel written by Australian author Kate Morton, driven by the mystery of why a 4-year-old child is found abandoned on an Australian wharf in 1913. So historical fiction, a bit of a mystery. It's chunky. I want to say it's 600 pages or something like that. Let me double check that. 648 pages, y'all. So this one's a chunker, but I'm going to listen to it on audio. Hopefully it will be entertaining, engaging. I love historical fiction, so when you throw a mystery in there as well, I feel like that's right up my alley. But we'll play it by ear. I don't know when I will get to this one. I may save it as like the last audiobook of the month. We'll see. But I'm definitely looking forward to reading it. It's been on my want to read list on Goodreads since 2012. So, yes. That is the last book on this very lengthy TBR. And I'm just going to cross my fingers that it's a good reading month. I do have the entire week of Thanksgiving off from work. So I do plan on getting quite a bit of reading done that week. We'll cross our fingers because I really would love to not have to carry any of these over into December because there are already books that I need to read in December. So anyway, that's it. That's my TBR for November. I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it wasn't my usual Wheel of TBR. I just couldn't really come up with a way to make that work with all of these books that I needed to read. So that's probably going to be put to the side through the remainder of this year, and I will bring it back in January because I also have set books again for December. But anyway, that's enough of me talking. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.